Charter Township of Plymouth Board of Trustees regular meeting, Tuesday, February 25, 2025, 6:30. Roll call.
Trustee Buckley.
Here.
Trustee Clinton.
Here.
Supervisor Kermy.
Here.
Treasurer Dorshevitz.
Here.
Trustee Groth.
Here.
Trustee Stewart. Clerk Vorva. I'm here. We're all here, and we have a quorum.
All right, Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the agenda.
Mr. Supervisor, I move for the approval of the agenda minus F3, which is the consent to Salem Township study feasible alternative routes for construction of a main sewer line in the public right-of-way through Plymouth Township to connect to the treatment plant at Ypsilanti Community Utilities Authority. And this resolution, I'd like to have that removed, and I ask that it be placed on a special meeting or a next meeting or at a study session, at which time the public will have time to come and discuss this issue. It's a very important issue. And there's so many things that are at play here. What's at play is they're going to be attempting to build a city on the west side of our communities, probably larger than the city and more dense than the city of Plymouth. It's going to have impact of traffic and other issues. Not only that, I believe once this sewer line is put in, the dump is going to attach to it, and they're going to increase the size of the dump. You think that you have a lot of dump trucks coming through your community now. It's going to be something else. Also, we had this letter today that you've distributed today at 1:30 via email, and the copy is right here also. I was called this morning at 10:13, I have it on my phone as the time, by the clerk of Canton Township, Michael Segrist. He wanted to talk about this and other issues. In that conversation, Mr. Supervisor, he informed me that sometime in the near past that you, the supervisor from Canton and other people, possibly Salem Township, maybe it's Eagle, maybe other people, maybe Showstack, were at a meeting where this was discussed, and that the information that's in this letter that was dated today was discussed, and he was concerned about that, and they're going to have the same thing on their agenda today. The very same item is going to be on their agenda today. And it's kind of curious that after I talked with him at 10:13 this morning, that at 1:30, because I told him, I says, Mike, I am the clerk of the Township of Plymouth, and anything that touches and concerns the environment from Eagle comes to me. I've heard nothing about this information, but he disclosed this information was discussed at this meeting. I don't know where this meeting was held, other than he said it was at Canton. I had no notice of this secret meeting. I had no notice that this information was already out there, but it's curious that it's dated the 25th. Now, I want to tell you that I think that this issue should be discussed, and that everybody that it touches and concerns should be here. That's all the people who live up and down Napier Road. We should have our state legislators here, our state senator here. We need to have Eagle here, and we need to have Salem here, Canton, and come to this special meeting or study session or at our next meeting and discuss what's going on, because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. This is clearly an end around. And it's going to mean you're going to have a large city on the border. You have heavy traffic. The dump is going to tire into this sewer, and you're going to have a lot of trouble. So if we're going to do this as a community, we should discuss it. And I want to remind everybody that in 2015, when the idea of a study session was brought, a study survey was brought up at this board, that you, Mr. Supervisor, and Treasurer Dorshevitz, at the time you were both trustees, voted no on it. You didn't want to have the study because you knew what the impact would be. Funny, a month later, that whole idea was rescinded by the board and everybody voted for it because they got the pressure from the public. Now, if this wants to be discussed, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with having a discussion, Mr. Supervisor. I think it should be discussed, but it needs to be out in the open, not by secret meetings, not with last-minute notices from Eagle. And I'm all in favor of discussing this because it's an important issue. Whether they do one thing or another, it's going to impact this community. And we all need to be aware of it, and it can't be done at the last minute like this. So my motion is that we postpone this, we set up another meeting for it, that we invite all the people who are concerned. That's my motion. I would like to have a second.
Second.
A second by
So now let's
trustee.
have some discussion.
Yes,
for
let's
me.
have it,
All right. Yes, we met, and we had a hearing on April 4th of 2024 where there were 800 people at Northridge Church. They all expressed that they did not want a sewage treatment plant. I don't think anyone said yes. And this is the result of Eagle evaluating the permit. They say that they are ready to issue it and that we have one opportunity, and that's right now, to say we will entertain a study for a pipeline which contains it and does not have a sewage treatment plant on the border of Plymouth Township at Napier and M14 that will be operated by a homeowners association or Salem Township. They're not as reliable. There was a litany. It went on till 11 o'clock at night of testimony. So the hearing has been done. This is the next step. And by allowing a default, we are risking the sewage treatment plant to be built. There's no secrets here. I'm not having secret clandestine meetings. It's all public meetings. The Canton Township wants this very badly, so they say. They're having a meeting today. It's the right thing. We cannot stop development. I know in the 1960s and 70s, Livonia didn't stop Plymouth Township from developing. And when the city of Detroit and DNR stopped all permits in the 1980s for Canton, Plymouth Township, and Northville Township, we built the Wattua sewer as an answer. So this is the cleanest solution that has the least negative effect on Plymouth Township. So I would go forward with this vote today. Let's see what people want to do. And there's not a lot of new news other than Eagle having finalized their strengthened their notice to us with this letter that came this afternoon. And I transmitted it to you as quickly as possible.
I agree we should discuss it tonight and take a vote on it because this vote is only to enable a feasibility study. But I don't see any reason to postpone it. We've had this in front of us for 5 years.
More than that, 2018 was when it first showed up.
The important thing, and I appreciate everything everybody's saying.
I'm talking and you just started talking over the top of me.
No, I don't want to talk over you.
Everything that, all these points that were brought up, we can discuss on the agenda item and then get a direction from the board.
I think that it's just too important. The public has had not enough notice on this. This was just put out. This notice was just today. And I was told by Michael Segrist that this information was already out there, which means you knew about it, Mr. Supervisor.
Well, that's why I put it on the agenda a week ago.
You didn't tell us about your meeting in Canton and who was at the meeting, Mr. Supervisor?
Stantec, Canton Township, Salem Township, Eagle. It was a public meeting.
It wasn't noticed. I'm sorry, Mr. Supervisor. That was not a noticed meeting. It violates Open Meetings Act.
I didn't call the meeting.
I'm sorry. It violates Open Meetings Act.
You're lawfaring everything. Let's get to a decision. Anyway, I recommend we keep it on the agenda, and I urge you to vote no to deleting the item from the agenda.
So everyone's clear, yes means we take it off the agenda and put it at a time when people have notice, realizing there was no public notice for the meeting that he had, which is in violation of the Opens Meetings Act.
No,
So
no.
I'll call the
There was
roll.
no,
I'll call the roll.
Take it off the agenda, they're gonna put a wastewater plant.
No, they won't. They haven't done it yet. That's a threat, that is not a reality. And you can make a decision otherwise. Clerk Vorva, yes. Trustee Buckley,
okay, you can talk later.
Trustee Buckley,
Sorry, gentlemen and ladies.
Yes.
Trustee Clinton.
I'm sorry, what's the vote again?
The vote is yes to take it off, no to not take it off the
Okay.
agenda.
Yes.
Treasurer Dorshevitz,
No.
Trustee Groth,
No.
Trustee Stewart,
Bob, wait a minute. Are you going to vote?
John,
John Stewart?
we need a vote.
Let's come back to him.
the motion is in front of Trustee Stewart. I'm not taking it off, either yes or no.
All right, so what are you doing?
Now I know why the cops were called.
That you called him?
No, I mean, we had interviews with police officers.
So is that considered an abstention? What, Kevin Bennett?
Kevin Bennett?
attorney?
Give me 1 minute, please.
Pardon?
He asked for 1 minute, please.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it just changed. Interesting. Just changed.
I'm looking at Section 7 of the Charter Township Act, subsection 6. Says, except as otherwise provided in this subsection, a member of the Township Board who is recorded as present shall vote on all questions decided by the board unless excused by the unanimous consent of the other members present. If at any meeting of the Township Board, a member of the Township Board states that he or she desires to be appointed by the Township Board to fill a vacancy in Township office, that member may abstain from voting on the appointment to fill the vacancy.
So my motion is that trustee Stewart register his vote.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We just took a motion within a motion.
Yes,
The motion, I guess, was to determine whether or not
Names here.
the Township Board would unanimously consent a board member not to vote. And my understanding of the vote, correct me if I'm wrong, was that the board voted that trustee Stewart must vote.
Yes.
that is correct.
John, we're just going to, we can discuss it once we get the item on the agenda, or keep the item on the agenda. So
Is that what you're recommending?
yeah, I would urge you to vote no, which means keeping it on the agenda.
I would note that, that Supervisor Kermey is voting for Stewart.
Oh,
I just said no.
Trustee Stewart said no.
are you sure?
I just heard it.
Supervisor Kermey.
No.
Okay, the motion fails. The item is still on the agenda.
By the way, the letter that came today is in the back. There's a copy for anyone who wants to read it. So that way you can be prepared if you want to speak when we talk. It's a letter from Eagle.
Now we need an approval of the agenda, of the consent agenda.
I would like to ask that we remove.
All right. The next item is the Salem Springs sewer feasibility study authorization by Plymouth Township. To give you a little background, Bob, can you put up any of the, put up a drawing of the proposed, where the proposed plant would be in Salem Township at Napier and M14. Let's see. That's the map. I think it was the first one.
And I have proposed, it's titled Proposed Sewer
You could-
Line.
Well, that's a sewer line, but there's the other one that has M14 on it. I hope we got it.
No, there's only these two.
Only those two. All right, well, the location of the proposed sewage treatment plant is at M14 and Napier. To give you a little background history, the Urban Services District was initially conceived in Salem Township in the 80s and then was fleshed out in the 90s, had some lawsuits. It's the area also, it ends on the west, nominally at Carl's Cabin on Godfredson Road. There was a hearing on April 4th of 2024, which had about 800 people at Northridge Church, and they all indicated that this hearing was required by EGLE, which is a unit of the state government, environmental, Great Lakes and energy. Thank you. And what came out of that is the information went back to EGLE. They studied it for nearly a year, 10 months. They are ready to issue their permit or their decision, and they have signaled that it will be authorizing the building of the plant, which borders Plymouth Township directly at M14 and Napier Road. They have indicated that they've always supported a sewer line instead of a standalone regional or local sewer system, sewage treatment plant. And they've expressed that they prefer a regional system, which is what YCUA is in Ypsilanti, where you have better control. The sewage treatment plant in Salem Township would probably be run by a homeowners association or the township. They probably have a contract with an operating company that would do some of the day-to-day operations. But there tends to be less control, and the water tends to be less clean than what would come out of YCUA, although it does meet the minimum standards required. So we are given an opportunity here to move towards a better solution which will not create the disruption in Plymouth Township with odor predominantly, and also the Canton Township is plagued potentially with flooding in Fellows Creek. We can talk for a long time. It's been talked about. We have had a big hearing in April. We know the alternatives. It's down to these two. Like I said before, it's almost impossible to stop development in neighboring communities. It's been going on in Southeast Michigan since World War II. Growth, everybody's talking about housing shortages. So the number of houses that will be built here could be in the hundreds. Jerry says thousands. I don't think that'll be that many.
Said 555.
Yeah, that's not thousands. So, there's about, I think, 800 to 1,000 acres there. Okay. So I'm urging you to vote yes to allow this study. It will give the optimum solution for the region, for the community, our neighbors. It is the right thing to do. I don't want to, well, hold on, wait a minute, pardon?
I was just curious, how do you define study in this
That
scenario?
They're going to be making, we have Stantec here. The study means they'll find the best route. One of the proposed routes today is a short distance on Ann Arbor Road to Joy Road and then south to Ridge through Canton Township.
Okay, so the study is not if they're going to do it, it's how they're going to do it.
Well, it's going to be how they're going to do it, and then we will get another opportunity to see what they have. The other opportunity is Napier Road, which wouldn't touch Plymouth, but a very little bit, Plymouth Township. It's farther west. We know that Superior Township rejected this idea. They don't want any development apparently, or they're fearful of development. So they amazingly were successful in rejecting it. So this is the alternative that will keep Plymouth Township from being another dumping ground, kind of like what Northville Township has with the landfill.
And so Salem Township is asking for our approval as a township.
Yes,
To move
because they
forward.
have to by law.
Right, and who takes care of the
Pipeline,
sewer system as it runs through our
that
township?
will be owned by Salem Township.
So any repairs, et
Yes, they-
cetera,
Right,
are on them, all the way to Ypsilanti?
yes. It'll go through 3 townships: Plymouth, Canton, Van Buren. Canton and Van Buren have a very strong interest in this pipeline and are supporting it, as far as I could tell, although this was a new surprise I heard from Jerry, that the clerk in Canton Township is alleging that this is not a good idea, there was an illegal meeting. That's not the case. So let's hear a little bit. Does anybody have any questions on the board, or would you rather have Stantec just give a 2-minute summary? Do you want to do that?
Do that first.
Stantec, you want to come up here and just give a very quick summary of what come to the podium, please. By the way, this gentleman, I think, was instrumental in designing the Watua force main for,
No, I wouldn't say instrumental. I was a young kid out of college, so.
you were there.
Yeah, I was there. I was there with Abe Munfa, so.
And Abe
And
Munfley
could you
used to be
please
a-
speak up?
Yeah. So Salem Township had, as you said, designated this area. It's about 1,300 acres as a urban services district. It's in the southeast quadrant of the township. And based on that, they've got a, I think they have a development agreement, right, Ed, with that area to service it with sewer and water. The internal workings of that 1,300 acres, the sewer and water is in. Now we've got to get it to either a regional treatment plant, which is considered to be the gold standard by
That's YCUA.
YCUA, yeah. It's considered to be the gold standard by Eagle, or on-site treatment plant that would discharge to the Fellows Creek, the effluent. The permit that Eagle is talking about issuing, if we don't have a viable option to get to Yucca, is to allow the effluent from the plant. Then we would have to go through the design of the plant and get a Part 41 permit for that. So as far as timing goes, it's about the same to design the plant and get through the whole system as it probably would be for the pipe to get to Yucca. Salem Township currently has a contract with Yucca, has had for some time. They're paying into that. I think it's maybe $70,000 a year to reserve the capacity. It's 1 million gallons a day to go to that plant. So that's why this is here tonight, because Eagle is going to issue this permit to discharge the wastewater treatment plant effluent to that creek if we don't come up with a viable option. So the viable option that we just came up with quickly, we've got to get, I've been talking to Charles LaRock and Canton Township and others. We need to look at the right-of-way widths, existing utilities, but it would be to go, as it's shown there, from a pump station, that lift station, it's shown with that verbiage up there, from there across Joy Road till we get to Ridge Road, and then south down Ridge which then bends around, turns into Denton Road, cross Michigan Avenue to E-Course, then over to the plant. So it's about 12 and a half miles of sewer.
Near Willow Run.
Yeah, west of Willow Run. It's about 12 and a half miles of sewer.
12 and a half?
And it would be likely most, if not all, a pressurized force main. Nobody else is allowed to tie into it. Eagle would issue the permit purely to Salem Township. Salem's responsible for maintaining the pipeline, operations, repairs, anything like that. So,
And what's the order of magnitude cost of that?
I don't know. It's in the like
Tens of millions.
30 to 50 million. And a plant is not cheap either. That's going to be 30 million or higher.
So Eagle has not issued a permit, and we don't know where it was going to be if they do it, because that was a proposed site. And it sounds like to me, when I hear you talk and I hear you talk, Mr. Supervisor, there's no need for a study. They've already decided where they want to put it. And so apparently Eagle and other people and you and Canton got together and decided this. And it sounds like it's all done. There's no need for us to do a study. It looks like it's pretty much kind of all done without the rest of the board knowing about it or the public knowing about it. That sounds like a done deal to me.
No, it's this is just a viable option for a route. This may not work. There may be utilities in the way. We may have to go a different route to get there. But this is on, with what we know now. We haven't done topographic survey. We haven't looked at existing utilities. We haven't talked to Wayne County. None of that's been done yet. So this is the most viable option. Just looking at what we have as far as information goes.
Exactly. It's that those are going to be the options. There's going to be nothing else to study. And it sounds like to me that this is a done deal. And so you don't need our permission. You've already decided what you're going to do and the routes that you could possibly take.
No.
Sounds like a done deal to
We need
me.
permission.
Well, we need
Otherwise,
to-
the default, if
Ed,
we don't
wanna-
take action, will be a sewage treatment plant.
No.
Well, wait a minute, you can't talk, you're out of order. You got to come up here, take your turn.
If I may.
Who is he?
I'm here mainly to answer any questions that the
Please
board may
introduce
have.
yourself.
I'm Ed Plato. I'm the city attorney for, the township attorney for Salem Township. I've been the township attorney there for, close to 20 years now. And I've been involved with the whole urban service district since about 2010.
Talk loud.
Pardon?
Talk loud. Just
Oh, sorry. Talking into the thing. I've been involved in the urban service district since about 2010. One thing I want to impress upon this board is, it's right, you can vote either way on approving this study to have consent to go through Plymouth Township. No matter which way you vote, though, it's important to note that development is going to proceed in the urban service district. The water lines are all in. We're connected to GLWA. The sewer pipes are in within the urban service district. The only thing we don't know is that sewage from the urban service district, is it going to go to a wastewater treatment plant in Salem Township, or is it going to go through a sewer pipe down to Yucca to be disposed of? Obviously, Salem Township doesn't want a wastewater disposal plant because we'd have to maintain it. And we don't like the sight of it either. I was at the Eagle meeting last year. I know there was probably 800 people that showed up there who were against the wastewater treatment plant. And some of you may remember maybe that time I had a neck brace on and Mr. Heisey and I went kind of toe to toe because he didn't like what I had to say. But this is an opportunity for this board to make a decision. Do you want a wastewater treatment plant, or do you want to have an underground pipe that's going to go to Yucca to take care of the waste from Salem Township? That's really the only decision before this board.
Why did Superior Township reject all of this? Why did Superior Township reject all this in 2023 and go to court? Just for
Superior
items,
Township rejected it because, at least from what they said, they believe that having that pipe there may allow developers to come in and connect to the pipe. That was not the case because, number one, it's a force main that is very difficult physically to connect to. Number two, the pipeline is designed only to carry the capacity, only to carry enough sewage from Salem down to Yucca. There wouldn't be capacity for anybody else to tie in. Thirdly, Eagle, in issuing the permit, has said nobody else can attach to that pipeline. It would be simply Salem Township's Urban Service District is the only one that can tap into it. And
But let me clarify one thing. Force main means it's under pressure. So that means you cannot attach your home sewer lead to it very easily because the pressure will push the sewage into your house.
it's correct.
So, and Superior Township wants to remain rural, and so they have a great fear of development. So they don't want to be sued by a developer in 20 years that would force them to allow a connection or some type of accommodation using this sewer system.
And I believe there was also a thought at that time that if Superior Township and Plymouth Township deny the ability for this sewer line to run down to Yucca, that there would be no development in Salem Township. Obviously, that's not the case. The development has gone forward. It's ready to go on board, except for knowing where the sewerage from Salem Township is going to go. Is it going to go to wastewater treatment plant, or is it going to go down to Yucca in Ypsilanti? We obviously would prefer to go to Yucca. This board can make that decision to allow it to go down to Yucca, and nobody will have a wastewater treatment plant.
And so why did you intentionally place it right on our border?
That was the best location for Salem Township. It has to be accessible, and it was property that was available to do that.
Well, there's other property. You said there's hundreds of acres there, and so it could go someplace else.
But it's not. It's going to. That's where Eagle has approved it to go. So,
No, they have not approved it.
They've approved. They've issued two permits already. As the letter indicates, the permit to allow the wastewater treatment plant to proceed will come if this board denies the ability to go through Plymouth Township.
I noticed on the.
permit will
I noticed
come. It will
on.
come.
I noticed
It's been
on.
indicated it
We,
will come.
we do, they do.
I noticed.
Hold on,
I noticed
one
on
at a
the.
time.
I noticed on the letter.
The letter
that
from Eagle.
It doesn't include our state legislator and our state senators, both of all three of them, and I know they're against the whole process. So
No, they're not against the process.
I mean, they're against the
They're against the wastewater treatment plant.
and so it could be put someplace else. You see, they intentionally put it there to force our hands. It was done to intimidate us, and I just quite frankly don't, Counselor, appreciate that.
You can say whatever you want, but
I know I can.
the point is, the Eagle has approved the wastewater treatment plant at that location. That's the location that's going to go.
They have not approved it.
You have the opportunity
Well, they
to say,
indicate in the
no,
letter-
it's not going to go there.
Jerry, they indicated in the letter they're about to approve it and they're giving time for an alternative. They really don't want a sewage treatment plant in Salem Township.
So you knew about this letter, according to Michael Segrist, and I want to make it clear, Michael Segrist was not opposed to this project. He just informed me of what was going on. So if anyone thought that I was saying that Michael called and was against it, he's not. He's all in favor of it. They're voting for it right now in Canton, and I believe it's going to pass unanimously.
Okay, so let's back up now.
So this was already decided, and you knew about it a week or so ago. And
That's
never
why I
formed
put it
the-
on the,
and never
that's why I
formed
put it
board.
on the agenda a week ago.
You knew
So-
about this.
If I can respond.
Well, I didn't know about that letter. I knew about the discussion. The letter came this afternoon.
Yep.
John Stewart has a question.
Yes, I'd like to go through the chair, and I hope everyone else would up here. You never talk when a judge tells you to stop talking. Welcome, Counselor Ed.
Thank you.
Welcome, Civil Engineer Brian.
Thank you.
Do I have this correct in the next 35 words? A yes vote is for, and I was at the meeting out at the church with your white neck brace, you and I walked in together for 2.5 hours out there, that scene. A yes vote is to connect up, the feasibility of connecting up, which is always Eagle's #1 priority. I've worked with Eagle as a lawyer and a state rep for 6 years, and the civil engineer says, oh, a no vote equals the wastewater treatment plant. Smelly. So a yes vote allows for the feasibility of a connect up. Am I correct?
That's correct. A yes vote prevents at this point the wastewater treatment plant from proceeding forward, which Salem Township doesn't want. I assume Plymouth Township doesn't want, Eagle doesn't want. Nobody wants a wastewater treatment plant, but it's the only alternative if this pipeline is not allowed to go down.
But a yes vote allows to a connect up study.
Correct.
Eagle has said to us that, and said at the meeting at Salem Township, that unless there's a viable alternative to a wastewater treatment plant soon, that was the words they used, soon, they are obligated to move forward and issue a permit for the wastewater.
So we have our supervisor, we have our civil engineer, and we have our municipal attorney saying, vote yes for a feasibility study for a connect up, avoiding the wastewater treatment plant. Thus, a no vote equals the wastewater treatment plant.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good, the supervisor. I think Eagle said it very succinctly in the letter which came out today. They said that this alternative, meaning the sewer line going to Yucca, is not supported by each township. Eagle is prepared to issue the permit for the Salem wastewater treatment plant.
Oh, nobody likes to be threatened. We like to be welcomed into a connect up. Thank you.
So is that normal and typical for them to issue a permit after a public hearing of 800 people saying
Yes.
they don't want
That's the law, that the purpose was, the public hearing was part of the approval process.
Well,
April 4th.
they had to review a lot of other, there were documents that were put in there, anti-degradation studies and different things with the permit. And then we also had to they wanted us to research the outfall area, the Fellows Creek, for invasive species, wetlands, things like that. And they took all of that information, and then they did issue it's a 301, 303 permit, which that there would be no problem with the effluent to the wetlands or any species in the stream. So that's already been issued. The next step would be to issue a permit to allow effluent from a treatment plant to be discharged at the rate that.
So, Councilor, you're coming here with the support of Supervisor Gary Whitaker and the Board of Trustees in Salem Township saying, please vote for this.
Absolutely.
They do not want a wastewater treatment plant.
But hold on a second, the audience can go, not yet.
Okay, hold on.
So, any other, we'll get to, the board will be able to ask more questions later, but anybody else on the board
Yeah.
have a question?
I have a couple of questions. I'd like to understand the nature of the operation of a wastewater treatment plant. You'd indicated that would cost some 30 million or north of that to build. And then there would have to be a substantial cost to operate it on an ongoing basis.
Right.
What is that annual operating cost?
I do not know.
And if they built a wastewater, I happen to, of all the members of the board up here, I live closer to where this treatment plant is than anybody. And I'm probably less than a mile from it. However, these 400, 500 plus homes, whatever the number it is, would also be less than a mile from it. So I'm having a difficult time believing that they want to they would build a wastewater treatment plant and then try to sell 400 homes within a mile of it. If this thing was going to be such an animal to manage, to operate, to build, operate, and manage, I'm just having a difficult time believing that.
So what are you advocating? Build it?
No, what I'm advocating is I don't believe that they would go through with a wastewater treatment plant. And if they did, I agree that we can't, one community, when a community passes a resolution dictating to another community what they should or should not do, that's not worth the paper that it's written on.
Right.
However, I agree that we can't stop development as they can't stop development in our community, but I don't think that we should be an active enabler of it. There's a difference between trying to stop it and being an active enabler. And I would believe that if Eagle issues the permit and there are steps taken to move forward with this wastewater treatment plant, that would not foreclose the option of coming back and negotiating a pipeline at a later date. We would not,
Bob, how could you
may,
afford building two systems?
you wouldn't build two systems.
You'd build,
No.
I'm saying
Wastewater?
we're trying to throw in the towel before the permit has been issued.
I think that's correct. And listen, I want to be perfectly clear. For 33 years of my life, I was a realtor. I'm not licensed now, but for 33 years I did. I made millions of bucks selling real estate. I'm not opposed to development. You've seen me approve development here. I don't care that there's development other places. You know, when I retire, I'm going to reactivate my license and go over and sell some property. What I'm concerned about is what Bob is talking about, and what I've said earlier. I'm concerned about the process here. This is being dumped on us. What I would like for us to do is to have another meeting where the majority of the people who live along that area can come and have input. We can have our state legislators here. We can have people from Salem Township come, from Canton Township come, Northwood, and so we can have it be very transparent about what's going on.
Jerry, that was done on April 4th, 2024.
Not now.
They were all
And
there.
it sounds like it was not effective if they're going to still issue their permit despite
no,
800 residents saying they don't want it.
That
They
is-
have to follow the law.
Yeah, it's a cookbook of the law. So they had the hearing.
You could get 80,000 people and they still have to follow the law.
Yeah, and Bob is
However,
correct.
I think if we, at this juncture, if we were to agree to the feasibility study, you know, it's just, the cat's out of the bag, and things have been set in motion. And what that does is then Canton has an interest, their interest in building the pipeline is because they don't want the flow of the water downstream in Fellows Creek, as we heard from most of the speakers at that meeting. And so if we don't move forward with the feasibility study and they issue the permit for the treatment plant, I believe Canton would also join with us in fighting the building of that plant, because they have an interest. But if we cave in and we say, go ahead and build the pipeline, Canton's out.
Because we would sue.
I don't think that's logical thinking. We've already been through that.
No, we haven't.
No,
Yeah,
we
we have. The
haven't.
hearing has happened.
Done.
Yeah, but the permit has not been issued.
Yeah, but it's about to be, it could be issued in another week.
So then let it be issued and then we'll deal with it.
And we'll deal with it then.
what our options are at that time.
They were both for the support of Canton.
Okay, so hold on. And any more, hold on, wait. What, no, nobody can talk. Just wait. You're going to get it. This is Plymouth. You get to speak. Everybody gets to speak. So are we done with Stantec for now? You guys can stand aside, and then we'll take some comments from the audience, unless you have anyone here have any comments?
I'm still thinking about it.
All right.
We're talking about doing a feasibility study. Why are we talking about that if the reality is that you either know that this can be done or you know it can't be done, correct?
No, you got to find the route. You got to do these. You got to see how many streams you're going to cross, how many pipelines you're going to run into, the topography, where you're going to have a force main it's going to be probably gravity here on the high end, force main somewhere in Canton Township south. So you're going to have to determine an optimum route that takes cost, environment, timing, all of those factors into account.
You got to do borings, you got a million things you got to do. This is just a high-level plan right now, a proposed route or 2 routes, but they don't know what kind of
Soils,
obstacles they could run into.
all kinds of things.
I was just thinking, because it's been going on for so long, that at some point, somebody should have a pretty darn good idea of whether this is,
Well, they haven't spent the money to do the,
so that's what they
level
want.
of
They want
engineering
permission
that
to
you would
spend the
need to
money
do.
to do the study.
Design work.
but it's a slippery slope. Once this is set in motion, it's in motion, and we're not going to stop it at that point.
I think it's already in motion.
Well,
When I say already in motion, the default is in place. It's called the sewage treatment plant.
And as I had indicated, I think we should cross that bridge strategically when we come to it.
You're saying the strategic study, do we have an idea how long will it take? A month, a year, any idea?
How long to have a feasibility study done? But it's a feasibility study or a biddable design?
We would probably put together a design basis report, and it would probably be a couple months. We'd have to talk to all the agencies, the permitting agencies, get evaluations of the streams, possible wetlands, right-of-way widths. I mean, just to understand this, the upper part of this wasn't designed with nothing done below that. The superior route was fully designed and pretty much ready to bid. So there was a plan in place to get it to Yucca, and it got turned back by the courts.
So Kevin, right now it's only a study, right?
Correct. I think that's the
So
way
I
the
mean, like after
resolution-
2 months, we could still say no.
According to the
Even though the study is
resolution, the
done.
way it is worded right now, I would ask that some of it may be changed. However, the way the resolution is worded right now, it is only giving consent to do the feasibility study. It is not granting consent for the installation of sewer pipelines.
Thank you.
So,
To the supervisor, if I may, just one other comment I'd like to make. There is some time pressure here for a couple of reasons. Number one, because the developers in the urban service district want to move forward with their projects, so they're going to push to have that wastewater treatment plant constructed as soon as possible. The other issue is, as I'm sure you know, the state of Michigan has issued $30 million worth of grant money to Salem Township to build these utilities in the urban service district. That money has time constraints on it, that money has to be committed and spent.
So there's a clawback clause.
There's no, actually, absolutely not. There's no clawback clause, but it has to be used by a certain date unless we get that date.
Unless you get an extension.
What date?
I believe it's September 31st of 2026.
Oh, so
September only has 30 days.
All right, well,
say
September
September?
30th then.
The end of September 2026.
End of September.
Ah, you tricked us. I'm kidding, I'm
In
joking.
keeping with our respect for professionals, I do want to acknowledge that the Township Attorney for Salem has practiced law 47 years with a P number of 29141, and I have to confess I have one lower than that. So God bless those lawyers who started practicing in the mid-1970s.
We're
So-
still alive.
all right,
No, but
let's,
that goes to your credibility, though.
Well, thank you.
John,
And you have a civil engineer right next to
And
you,
his client,
graduate and certified.
nobody said
Yep,
he's not
and been
credible.
with
He's
Stantec for
representing his
36 years.
client.
all right, so let's take comments. You guys step aside. Let's
right.
take comments
Thank you,
from
gentlemen.
Thank
some
you.
of the people in the
Thank you for your time.
audience
Thank
who
you.
have some things to say. You have 3 minutes each.
Go ahead, Rich.
You can get in line.